What's going on with me? Oh my God, send my savior, my LPT. Just tell me what's going on with me. The Lori Beth Denberg.
On today's episode, never before heard clips from already been heard shows. Enjoy Leftover Night here at Bad Advice with Lori Beth Denberg. Take it away, Clark.
This is my very own 6-year-old son in Let's Appeal.
I'm here with one of my favoriteest people in the entire world.
Yes.
Can you introduce yourself? What's your name?
Lex.
How old are you, sir?
6.
You are 6. Do you go to school? Do you attend an educational place?
I go to Topeka and Topeka Tiger.
Okay. What grade are you in?
1.
You're in grade 1?
Yes.
First grade?
Yeah.
I disapprove. I want you to still be 3 years old so we can hang out all the time and do nothing but play games. You don't remember this probably. But like we were playing video games one time and I am not good at the video game. And you were like so frustrated. You're like, no, you've got to get that guy in this. And I was like, Lex, I don't know how to play. It's like, give me a break. So you take it all very seriously. So because I know that you are a thoughtful, sweet boy. So I was wondering if you could, give some advice to people on different stuff. So like, what would you do if you were at school and your friend was really sad?
I would make them happy.
How?
No, I would help them with something, or if somebody was being mean to them, I would help them.
Oh, that's lovely. All right, I like that very much. So if someone in your class forgot their lunch at school, what would you do?
Well, they can go to the cafeteria, but...
Oh, so you would just give them important information.
Yeah.
Would you tell them where the cafeteria was if they didn't know?
Yes.
Okay, that is lovely. I like that you were on board with the technicalities of everything. Okay, if you... Let me think. If you were at home and Dada stubbed his toe, what would you do to help him?
I would make him calm down, and I could help him find a Band-Aid.
Very nice first aid knowledge, an emotional connection. Okay, let's say it's Mama's birthday.
Yes.
What's something you would do to make her birthday very special?
I would give her lots of hugs and kisses.
Very nice. And free of charge, would she have to pay you anything for that? No. Okay, he's shaking his head no. He's shaking his head no vehemently. Apparently, Mama gets free hugs and kisses, which is a pretty good deal.
Yes.
Okay, here's a question. If Flynn ran away, would you be sad?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear that. I'm
very sad.
You would be very sad. Okay, so I will tell Dada to stop leaving the front door open on purpose. Okay? Okay. Well, thank you very much. I think that your really good advice will help a lot of people that if they have a sad friend or have a friend who doesn't have lunch or stubs their toe, then they can remember what you said and then they'll know what to do.
Yes. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Lex.
Yes.
Let's Appeal. But let's move on to our rotating segment of the week. I'm very excited. It is one more time with a top 10 and a half.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, LB and Clark's top 10 and a half.
All right. So,
Nice.
top 10 and a half. Do you want to say what the theme is of this top 10 and a half, LB?
It is our top 10 and a half vacations.
Yes.
Now, I thought I'd rub it in. It's kind of like when, during COVID, when all the kids' proms got canceled.
Right.
So there was this thing on Facebook, like, post a picture of your prom picture.
Right, exactly.
To like support them. And
That's
really,
exactly
it was
right.
just like, somebody was like, how is this supporting them?
Right,
By
it's just
showing them
mocking
how
them.
much fun you had at your prom and how they can go fuck themselves. So sorry. It's like eating a delicious meal in front of a really hungry person.
Yeah, exactly. So this week we are doing a top 10 and a half vacations and travel. And I'm excited for this
Yes.
because I love going on trips. I
Yes.
love going on vacation. It's one of my favorite parts. So who do you think should start? Do you want to start or do you want me to
Yeah,
start?
you go ahead.
All right, I'm going to start with something that's really simple. It's going to be Hawaii and probably maybe Honolulu specifically, but I've always loved Hawaii. My parents took me a number of times as a kid. It's just hard. It's lower on my list now only because it was tainted by the Cruise of Doom.
Oh, that was the Cruise of Doom?
The Cruise of Doom was
Gotcha.
sailing from LA all the way to Hawaii. Then we hit like 2 or 3 of the islands, and then we sailed all the way back to LA.
For those of you who don't know, I don't know if we've talked about it before. The Cruise of Doom was the cruise that Clark explained. I was here watching the puppy dogs and watching the house.
Yeah.
And I was really sick.
That's right.
I was really sick. This is way pre-COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had the flu. I was just like down for the count.
Right.
And Karen was saying like, I feel so bad that you have to be there instead of your house. And I'm like, this is much better.
Yeah.
Being here, being sick.
We just got a brand new bed for our spare bedroom.
I had a new bed.
So you had
They
a new
have
bed.
a water thing. It just occurs to me now how like super white privilege this top 10 and a half is. So let me just say, I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And you guys have the water thingy where you can get hot water right away.
Yeah.
So like making tea took like very little effort for my shaky body.
Yeah.
So I'm like really sick. And then the first I hear about the Cruise of Doom is Karen texting me saying, hi, I got so sick that they quarantined me on the boat. So she's just like quarantined.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are they bringing you food and water? So this starts, Clark, the dominoes falling.
Yeah. So everyone eventually got sick on this cruise.
Yeah.
Karen was the first one, but I eventually got sick. Lex eventually got sick. My parents, my mom eventually got sick. My dad never really got that sick. But for the most part, every single one of us got just deathly ill at one point. And you're on a ship.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere. And we went with my parents. This was one of those trips where it's like, oh, my parents really wanted to go on vacation with us. We have a new kid. And we're like, oh, let's do a big family vacation. So we went on the cruise with my parents, but my parents are retired. They're a little bit, more well off than we are. And they were able to get really beautiful cabin with a big, balcony and a window. We got an interior room with no windows, no portholes, no nothing. We were in a box and we had to be locked in that box, all 3 of us, because it was me, Lex, and Karen for days on end. It was horrible.
Just every report I got was worse and worse. And then you finally got to Hawaii and there's these pictures on Facebook of like you guys going like, well, we have to go to the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's just limp out to the shoreline and touch it.
Each time.
And then just walk back.
Each time we went on an excursion and one of us would be sick. So all the pictures, there's at least 2 of us in the group that aren't looking good.
Yeah.
But the 2 people change every time there's a new location.
It just was pretty bad.
It was horrible.
It was pretty bad.
So that's kind of tainted my view, but I still love Hawaii so much. That was my first one. All right, what's your number 1?
Like a redemption trip. You need that to not be the last.
The last time we go to Hawaii. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, my number 1 is Mount Rushmore.
Oh, how patriotic.
When I was working on the Steve Harvey show, sometimes behind the scenes for the listeners, shows will do a pattern of 2 weeks on, 1 week off. 3 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And that's to give people like crew members and stuff. The actors don't fucking need anything. That's like art department and the writers to give them time to re-smush and like, recalibrate and build stuff they need to build and write stuff they need to write. So at a time when we had 2 weeks off, I go, I'm going to drive to Mount Rushmore.
Wow.
I'm going to drive to Mount Rushmore. I've never been there. I love driving.
Yeah.
I love road trips.
Yeah.
When I take a road trip that's like 8 hours, I'm like, that was not enough. But so I just decided on a whim, I'm driving to Mount Rushmore.
All right.
By myself in my little car. And I think this was the time when I was like super high all the time.
Okay.
And so I was smoking the whole way.
Yeah.
And I got there. I think I did it in like maybe 2 days.
Okay.
I don't know how I'm so high. I don't know. I might have
been
flown.
weeks.
But I got 2 speeding tickets like one day apart.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And one of them was just this really nice cop. I was totally going too fast on the freeway. And then one of them was this speed trap.
Oh, no.
If you're in Lingle, Wyoming, it's a
no.
speed trap, or at least it was.
Okay.
Just one of those towns where the freeway stops, you go through it for a few minutes, the freeway starts.
2 or 3 miles,
Yeah.
and then you're back on the freeway.
Exactly. So there was no one about.
Huh.
There was no one about on the sidewalks. I didn't even see, I don't think, very many cars.
Right.
It was nothing. So, of course, I'm just speeding through.
Right.
And, 3 minutes later, when I'm going to get back on the freeway, it's like, whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
And the cop is hiding there and, like, came to get me.
Yeah.
But this cop was a dick.
Oh, no.
He was a dick. And first of all, I'm super high.
Oh, no.
And I have weed in the car. So in my brain, I'm like, don't search the car.
Yeah,
Don't search the car.
exactly.
So, but he says to me, you have to pay this now or go to jail. Like, it was all this shit that wasn't true or whatever.
Oh, my God.
So, but I'm just being really nice and goofy. Like, so he'll think I'm just a dumb girl.
Right.
And he's like, well, I go, is there an ATM? I can't, I'm acting kind of like, a dopey and
Ditzy,
whatever.
yeah.
Little, like maybe even a little nervous.
Sure.
Okay, well, I am. I'm like, don't search the car.
Yeah,
Don't search the
exactly.
car. So we go there and I get the money out of the ATM. And then he takes me to like the, business, like the business center courthouse.
Oh, my God.
Whatever of the town where the little registrar lady's there. And so I'm doing all this stuff. She loves me. She's totally laughing at all my jokes.
No.
And I kind of regret, like, I really was feeling like after that, I really wanted to say, come, like, it's like when somebody just goes, here's who I really am.
Yeah.
I want to say, officer, I was speeding, obviously. And I know sitting in a speed trap might not be your favorite thing, but I ascertained that there were no pedestrians and no one on the car and there was no danger, but I was speeding and I appreciate that this is the consequence. And your job is a lot more, you're putting a lot more on the line for me. So I wanted to just kind of have that moment.
Right.
But I'm like, bye. I've got a lot of weed in my car. So and then I keep going. I get to Mount Rushmore. It's pretty breathtaking.
Okay.
We've all seen pictures.
Sure.
Generally, pictures we see of Mount Rushmore aren't actual size.
Sure. Yeah, mostly.
So it was really breathtaking to me.
Huh.
I felt very American.
Huh.
I really had this. And as we go on with my list, you'll see I love American history. I talked about that before.
Yeah.
But, so I just really had an emotional reaction to it, feeling very patriotic.
That's awesome.
And, looked at all the stuff inside and bought a bunch of books. So
Nice.
that was my trip to Mount Rushmore.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, we're going to move on because otherwise we're going to have another 40-minute top 10 and a half list.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm going to do this one pretty quick. I know you have a couple coming up here that are going to involve musicals and plays.
Yes.
I do too, but mine is actually from London.
Oh.
I loved London. I've only been to London once, and I just fell in love with London. I've been to, New York, New Jersey, Florida. I've been around the country, and I have never felt like, I'd leave LA and go live here. Never. Except for London. London is the only place that I've ever visited where I'm looking around going, no, I could totally live here. This would be awesome. So yeah, London is my number 2.
Okay. My number 2 is New York. Now I'm going to have 2 New York trips on my deal. This isn't destinations. This is vacations and travel.
Yep.
So my first one is New York. And that's when I first started on Nickelodeon. And the same way I just described that it would be like, 2 weeks on, 1 week off, blah, blah, blah. So we had these, breaks.
Yeah.
And everybody would fly home, but I didn't. I'm like, I'm not going back there.
And you're the only cast member that was 18 at the time.
Exactly. So I'm like, I'm just hanging out in Florida, having time off. And then I realized I don't have to fly home. They'll fly me anywhere.
Yeah.
So I started going to New York where our friend Farah lived, and I would stay with her.
Yeah.
And I would go to TKTS, and I would see a friggin' play a day, a musical a day. Brandy, you should have been there.
Is that where you saw The Life? I know we were talking about The Life.
Yes, that's definitely one of the trips on which I saw The Life. I just saw all kinds of stuff. It was really I think that's the first time I was in New York was, I got used to it because I would go there every whatever. And it was just so cool. And like the walking around New York is like, it's like snow in Los Angeles. Snow is only something I see in the movies.
Right.
New York, it's New York.
Right.
And so to be there and to really get the vibe and to like the people, like nobody's rude there.
Yeah.
And I tend to talk to everybody all the time. Not so much back then, but that was just really cool. And the fact that I was able to go, obviously on someone else's dime.
Right.
But I'm like, I could go anywhere.
That's amazing.
So I went there, a bunch of times. And it was just, I was kind of bi-coastal, except it was the same coast. Like I'd go from Florida, I'd be in Florida or New York, Florida or New York.
All right.
And it just kind of became very normal and very fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. All right. My next vacation actually is a bit of a cheat because I haven't done it yet. This is something that I am anxiously just like so hoping can happen in the next couple of years. I am itching to do this. I desperately want to go to Japan. I really, really want to go to Japan. I've been hearing nothing but amazing things, not only about Disneyland Tokyo, but Disney Sea. Have you heard of Disney Sea?
No.
It's a second park in Japan that is
SEA?
SEA that is supposed to be the most beautiful Disney park in the world right now.
Wow.
Yes. And I am so anxious to go see that. I really want to do that. And then I also watched a documentary a year or so ago about one of my favorite stores of all time, which was Tower Records. I loved Tower Records growing up. And Tower Records no longer exists in America.
Oh, my goodness.
In Japan, they're all over the place still.
Wow.
In fact, when this documentary was made, who knows whether it's still there or not,
Yeah.
but at the time there was like a 4-story Tower Records building
Holy
in
cow.
like downtown Tokyo, and all of this has just made me so wanting to go to Japan. It's just it's killing me.
I've had friends that have gone to Japan and they just loved it.
Yeah, I
They
really
said it
really
was
want to
so
go.
yummy.
So
Okay.
that's my number 3, even though it's a cheat and I didn't go yet.
That's okay. My number 3 is a cross-country trip that I took across the country.
Oh, okay.
It was after Steve Harvey. This is also a cautionary tale about not spending all your fucking money like an idiot.
Oh, no.
Actually, there's a few cautionary tales in here. This is interesting.
Okay.
Let me get ready to tell you.
Once upon a time.
I was like totally doing drugs all the time.
Sure.
I had no idea it was a problem.
Sure.
I specifically needed to smoke weed every single day, all day long.
Okay.
But I had to think about that. So I'm going on this crush country. I'm going to go on a cross country road trip.
Yeah.
LA to Vermont, Killington, Vermont. And it was a spa trip.
Huh.
So LA to Vermont to stay at this hiking spa where you would get a massage, every few days, but then we would go hiking in the Adirondacks and Adirondacks. Say it for me.
I don't know.
Adirondacks.
Sure.
Okay. And I promise I'm not drunk right now. I've been slurring everything.
I know.
So, and then from Killington, Vermont, I drove to West Virginia where there was a more rustic spa.
Okay.
Where I had rode a horsey and a couple times, and it was just more rustic and more whatever.
How awesome.
And then it wasn't fancy.
Okay.
And then I drove from West Virginia to Tucson where I stayed. And again, I realize this is the most white privilegey deal ever. I stayed at a place called Canyon Ranch.
Okay.
Which is like being in the Truman Show. It's so idyllic. It's so expensive. I realized what a thing it was when I got there. And of course, the guy was like, well, how long will you be staying with us?
Yeah.
And I go, 2 weeks. And he did a weird double take.
No.
What the fuck?
Really?
Yeah. And it's a place you book all your stuff. And I did I'm rolling in Steve Harvey money.
Absolutely.
That is,
burning a hole in your pocket.
Burning a hole in my life for the rest of time because I used a lot of it on this trip.
Yeah.
So I stayed there and I mean, it was just idyllic. It was whatever, but and it focuses on health too. It's certainly not anyway, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. But the thing that I remember most about this trip is I was totally using, drugs all the time, specifically weed, constantly.
Yeah.
And I go, well, I'm not going to be able to bring enough weed for the whole trip. And I'm not going to be able to get more. So I'm like, I'm not going to bring any.
Oh, whoa.
So I was not thinking anything of it.
Yeah.
I got to Barstow, which is 2 hours away
out of
from
LA.
And I was like, oh, I'm fucked.
Oh, no.
And so I stop and I buy a pack of cigarettes. And that's when I started smoking.
No kidding.
That's when I started smoking.
Wow.
And I was just like, wow. And then I, had a nice drive. I love the drive.
Yeah.
And I got to the hiking spa in Vermont, and it was gorgeous and it was beautiful, and I'm smoking.
Yeah.
Not on the hike or something.
Right. Look at these beautiful trees.
I know. Flip forest fire. So it was this very strange, looking back, I couldn't make it 2 hours without something.
Wow.
And so I did that, and I, drove in a kind of U shape around the country, and I was just, I had some great experiences. There were some experiences where I'm alone and, but that was the first time, and I didn't register it, that I realized looking back, oh yeah, I had a fucking problem with needing to smoke weed constantly, but still one of my best trips.
Wow.
The end.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right?
Oh man, that's a lot of shit happening to you. All right, moving on. We're going way too far. Number 4 for me is San Diego.
Yeah.
San Diego, and not just one trip. I'm talking about Comic-Con. I'm talking about the yearly trip to San Diego for me. I must have gone easily 15 to 20 years straight to San Diego every single summer. Just to go to Comic-Con, see some cool panels, get some cool swag. It was always a yearly weekend retreat for me of nerdy goodness.
Right?
So yeah, San Diego, my 4th.
Okay, I will make this shorter.
Yeah.
I will meet your San Diego and raise you in New York.
Oh, okay.
When I went to New York for New York Comic Con to do a panel with Danny, Josh, and Cal.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. And that had been a while since I'd really done anything, you know, Nickelodeon or celebrity-ish.
Yeah.
And so being there and having all those like millions of, no, it wasn't millions, but people seeing the crowds that were so excited to see us and just feeling like really cool, like feeling really good about myself. Like, you know what, I do have a following. I do have people that love what I do and I can start to do it again. Yeah. So, and I saw a couple plays, I think. It was just super yummy.
That's awesome. Okay, my last choice is New Zealand.
Oh my God.
Nothing specific in New Zealand because my honeymoon with my wife, we went and flew to the very the very bottom of New Zealand. Very, very bottom. We rented a car and we drove for 3.5 weeks up the entire country of New Zealand. And let me tell you, the entire country of New Zealand is just a dream.
Yeah.
Just amazing. It's gorgeous. It smells good. It looks good.
What does it smell like?
It just smells like New Zealand. It's hard to describe. It's just like nature and sheep. Lots of sheep.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, compared to here in LA, anything smells good.
Better. Yeah, exactly.
Except New York. Okay, yeah. And all of the like pictures and like reports from Clark and Karen during their honeymoon, they were always doing something like amazing / death-defying.
Yeah.
They did all kinds of shit.
We went on an iceberg. It was great.
Excellent. So my 5, which is our 10, is Philadelphia.
Oh, Philly.
I went to Philadelphia for probably 3 days to do a charity event for, I wish I could remember, I think it's Stonewall Sports. Okay. And it is like the biggest LGBTQIA sports league, and they did softball and they did kickball and all kinds of fun stuff. And I was invited to be kind of the MC of their closing event, which they called the prom.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, I was flown out there. I got to have, you know, a hotel room. Yeah. Again, I'm really lucky that I've had, you know, a couple of these have been things I've done myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've been, because I'm so famous and important. I've gotten flown some places. So as I said about Mount Rushmore, like I love American history. Yeah. This started on a trip to Washington, which could have made this list, but it didn't. We've talked about it before. That's when Summer Sanders and I got soaked in the rain just before we had to do our appearance.
Yes.
But I mean, Philadelphia is rich with American history.
Absolutely.
So I, you know, was supposed to work, say, like Saturday night. I got there on a Thursday. Friday and all day Saturday, I was on the double-decker bus.
Wow.
On and off at every single thing. So into it.
That's awesome.
And because I talked to everybody, I might have even brought this up on the show before. Because I talked to everybody, there's a shuttle that picks you up at your hotel.
Okay.
And when the shuttle picked me up to go to where the bus starts, there was this other woman in there. And so I started talking to her, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, I want to do this and this. And she goes, do you mind if I come with you?
Oh.
So we get on. I'm like, no, we get on the bus. It worked out perfect. She was a retired teacher or a retired librarian. It must have been a teacher. I would have been like, I played the librarian.
Yeah.
Too. And so she was like so great because she wanted to stop and read all the plaques, like all the stuff that I love doing that people are like, can we go?
Yeah.
And so I just went. I got on and off at everything. I was so into it. And then the second day I got right back on it and I did it until I needed to get off and get ready to go to the charity event that I was there for.
Wow.
So if you look at my Facebook, it's me and these pictures of me and this woman. Why am I not remembering her name? All of, you know, we're at the Liberty Bell. We're at the U.S. Mint.
And you literally never met her before you walked to get on the shuttle to go to the bus stop?
I'd never met her before.
That's
and it's funny because of the way I am. A friend of a friend asked, I have a really good friend named Rachel, and one of our mutual friends, but more Rachel's friend, goes, does LB know that woman? Yeah. And Rachel goes, I guarantee you she does not.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it was so awesome. I was so into it.
Oh, that's so
Plus,
cool.
I have this weird story about me and this chickie who we had the best time. Just so weird.
That's awesome.
And so awesome.
That's very cool.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's our top 10. What is our last half, LB?
The half is fucking Mexico. Because only half of us have been to Mexico. Now that I think about it, I have been to like Tijuana and to Juarez. No, probably not Juarez. Whatever's like right by El Paso.
Tijuana's not really Mexico.
Yeah, I've been to 2 like little day trips, but only half of us have been to Mexico. So hopefully I will have more fun to report later.
Bad Advice stars Lori Beth Denberg and Clark Crozer. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balon, and part of the Seltzer Kings network. Our theme song is written and performed by Natty Ward. If you or someone you love is in need of some bad advice, you can submit your own question on our socials, all of which are Ask Lori Beth, or on our website at AskLoriBeth.com, or for a nostalgic twist, you can call 1-855-DENBERG. That's right, 1-855-336-2374, and leave your question there. Thanks for listening.